Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for December 12th, 2024. Coming up, two more teams punch their ticket to Vegas. So we got two guests to talk about it. We got James Edwards, we got Marcus Thompson post-game, and then S and I, we're going to dig into some questions. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, S. Good morning, James Edwards. Live from MSG, where the Atlanta Hawks did the thing they're built to do. They won an NBA Cup game over the Knicks. Trae Young goes to MSG, ever the villain. James, what was it like in the building for the NBA Cup at MSG?
Yeah, I thought it was a little subdued to start. It's been raining here in New York, so it was a little slow to trickle in. I think people were a little jury, but as the game went on, it picked up. It wasn't the most beautiful half of basketball to start. There was a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed shots, a lot of missed free throws. But as things kind of picked up in the third and it looked like Atlanta was coming back, like there was a little bit more uneasiness from Knicks fans. There was a little bit more vulgarities in their language when Trae Young was messing up. So it was definitely a grower, but it ended up being an interesting game. I wouldn't say a good game, but an interesting game, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
What happened in that second half? And I mean to say that simply because I think like that third quarter by New York just completely it was terrible, right? It was
bad
the Hawks
execution
on
a
both
25-6 run, and
it seemed like from that point it was just the Hawks game to kind of dominate and control. What happened in the third that changed the game that way?
Yeah, I think there were a few things. I think one, New York did generate some good looks. They just missed a lot of open shots.
Yeah.
And I think there was some of the missed shots bleeding into defense. They didn't look in sync defensively. They looked a bit sluggish. They weren't really getting back fast in transition. They were getting beat off the dribble. They also looked like a team that was tired. Their starters play a lot of minutes, right? And
that Raptors game all Monday, man, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And they've how do I say this? They're very much a team that like goes ebbs and flows with its energy. And Atlanta is a team that usually pretty consistently has energy. You saw it with them having 22 offensive rebounds. The Knicks just really looked stuck in mud. And it looked like a team that's tired and a team that looked like that was down on itself because shots weren't falling. And ultimately it was a bad combination because Atlanta started to make shots after missing so many in the first half, but the Knicks made it easy for them to make shots too.
Yeah. At a certain point, they've got to figure out how to get stops and score at the same time, James. It seems like they can get a couple stops here and there, but the offense dries up. And then we know that this offense is super high octane at its best. So what do they do differently? I mean, is there something in their approach that you've seen? I mean, you've been around them, now for a few months. I mean, where do they go from here to improve?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think for me, it's like, when does we need to be consistent turn into like, this is who you are? And I think we're at a point with that with New York. We're at 25 games in. They haven't really had any major injuries to their main guys. I mean, obviously Mitchell Robinson has been out, but he's been out all year. Yeah. But they still just look like a team that's at times doesn't know each other. And it's really hard to put a finger on it because, like you said, it's one of the best offenses. It is the best offense in basketball when they're rolling. They pass the ball well. It's just defensively, they just don't have that same synergy. And I still think it starts at the point of attack. They really struggle against lead playmakers and ball handlers. They get blown by too easily on the baseline. And Cat's not a great rim protector. And I think they get deflated by being able to put up these percentages. And then you look up and they're only up 6 and they're only up 7. And I think it impacts their defense. And I think it takes a lot out of them, man. They're playing a lot of minutes. There's 8-man rotation on most nights, it feels like, sometimes 9. They have to be able to put teams away early, and the fact that Atlanta shot as poorly as they did in this first half, and they only were down 6 at halftime or 7 at halftime is like, if you're New York, it's like, what's going on? And you have to you have to muster up some more energy. I just think this is like a team that was gassed, and they just need to figure it out there, whether that's add somebody or change up who they have guarding the lead ball handler. Mikal Bridges has had moments, but he's struggled at times, and they need to figure that out for sure.
Yeah, it seems like there's 2 things you need to have as a team, recipe-wise, to beat the Knicks, right? It's a ball handler who can attack the Brunson cat, pick and roll, carve it up. We saw that tonight with Trae Young, right? It's also length and activity defensively, switching. That stat's been out about how well they do offensively versus length and activity and the switch scheme versus drop coverage. We also saw that tonight. So in terms of identity, at what point does it just become like this is who they are on both ends of the floor?
It feels like we're there. 25 games is a large sample size. They've been able to put together good performances against really good teams. A lot of their losses have come against good teams. They've lost to some mediocre teams. They've gone to toe-to-toe with some bad teams. It's who they are. They very rarely blow teams out despite how offensively efficient they are.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of that is because they just do not defend at the level that they need to. And I also still think that their shot, I hate saying shot diet, but it's been a long day and I have a head cold, but their shot diet's still weird. I still think they take too many twos and give up too many threes. And I think it shows almost every other night.
Yeah. Hey, look, you write about the Knicks for us, but you know the league as well as anybody. I want to talk about the Hawks.
Yeah.
They won this game, and I know it's weird, but it's the NBA Daily Curse.
It's Dave's favorite team, by the way. This is
I do love this Hawks team. I mean, if you look at them, I understand the vision behind, having all this length, switchability, and Trae Young, right? And his playmaking talent is on full showcase with these guys. But Jalen Johnson looks like a future all-star to me. Yeah. In this game, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, a couple of steals, couple of blocks, but he just seemed to be involved in every single winning play that Atlanta made. Yeah. What do you think about what they're building in Atlanta, and in particular, Jalen Johnson's matchup kind of like problem in the East? Like, who guards him, and he can kind of guard everybody?
Yeah, no, I really like this team. They're building obviously around Trae, but they're doing it with a bunch of 6'7" to 6'9" wings who can defend and play their ass off. And some of them can shoot. Some of them are learning to shoot. DeAndre Hunter had a really good season.
Wow,
off the bench, like 6th man of the year candidate. But it's funny, they get Dyson Daniels in the DeJounte Murray trade. And it's kind of like Dyson is what they envisioned DeJounte being defensively, right? Like being able to take the best player and actually be able to impact him. Yeah. Dyson Daniels is one of the best on-ball defenders in basketball. He's proven it night in and night out. Trae Young, it takes a lot of pressure off him. This team is built, like they're not built to win now, but they have exactly what you want in today's NBA with the 6'6" to 6'9" wings. Jalen Johnson's aggressive. He plays his ass off, and he's skilled. And it seems like Ricochet could be that too. Like he's not afraid. Like the kid plays tough, and he's skilled. Dyson Daniels
of those passes, man, I wish he was a little bit more afraid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
hey, settle down a little bit. That the DeJounte trade is turning into the Dyson Daniels trade.
Yeah, agreed. Dyson Daniels has been amazing, and he's one of those guys like OG Anunoby. Like if they just put a camera on him for what does he pay 32 minutes a game, you would be thoroughly entertained by just watching him.
Yeah, the Hawks have had so many opportunities over the last 12 months to pivot and go a different direction, right? Should they trade the number 1 overall pick? Should they, the DeJounte Murray trade, does that precede a Trae Young trade? And, it doesn't feel like any of that happened. Well, it didn't. And now they're in a situation where it all makes sense. The team building makes sense. The way that they're trying to build around Trae makes sense. I guess, how do they look against the Milwaukee Bucks? A 2021 Eastern Conference Finals rematch, by the way. Anybody? Huh? A little juice on that? Respect the cup, y'all,
It's going to be fascinating. I think Milwaukee's in a bit of a groove right now. I think Giannis is obviously a one-man freight train. I'm not saying anything new. Brook Lopez looks a lot better than he did to start the year. I think Milwaukee's like one of those teams that could benefit weirdly from winning the cup. Like, to build it, we hear about this is for the Atlantas and Pacers of the world. It's like, no, like this could be really good for a Milwaukee team that's a little bit older and its star players. Is slowly been building momentum over the last few weeks and just like getting a taste of something like this ahead of the postseason. Like I think Oklahoma. Let me get this straight. Oklahoma City is going to win the tournament.
Okay,
but Milwaukee.
I see.
I think Milwaukee meets them in the finals.
All right. Well, we're going to find out. James, go and read James Edwards at The Athletic. He is one of the best sports writers in America, maybe in the world. I don't know. I don't read other countries, but
we
you're
can
the
say
man,
the world.
James.
Yeah.
I mean, we can say that.
Yeah,
sure. I mean,
that.
I just don't know. I don't read Japanese sports writing. I'm sure it's excellent. They probably have their own James Edwards. Guys, stick around after the break. We got Marcus Thompson to talk about Rockets Warriors. Well, my prediction that the Warriors were going to run through the NBA Cup and add to the Steph Curry legacy. It ended last night. The Rockets and the Warriors, this is supposed to be a 2024 NBA basketball game that is like 140 to 135. And guys, it turned into a 90s playoff game. Got Marcus Thompson here with me and S talk about the game. We just watched this thing. And Marcus, I'm going to start with you. This was a rock fight. The offenses just look inept at times, but we're going to start at the end of the game. What's up with this loose ball foul that they called on Jonathan Kuminga? Of all the times to call
when is that ever
loose
called?
ball foul,
it's
never
so
called.
weak. Like, come on, man. It's so weak. Look, the Warriors didn't lose because of that. They had 4 turnovers in the last 5 possessions.
Yeah.
But Billy Kennedy, what are you doing? Like, play ball. You've never seen a foul to decide a game, and
they were supposed to
physical.
all game. Exactly.
That's just bad. It's just bad. Like, it's bad. It looks bad. It's not good. Like, what are you doing? I didn't like that at all. I didn't like it. To me, it didn't like kind of taint the ending, but everybody's playing hard. Everybody's hustling. Like, it's rough out here. Like, don't end the game because Billy Kennedy said, you grabbed his shoulder, when he didn't actually grab his shoulder. It's just weird. But should have called a timeout when GP2 had the ball.
Even on the Draymond wraparound, like they didn't call that a flagrant. They're just like, all right, cool, common
Which
foul.
It wasn't.
Well, interestingly enough, that just happened in the Warriors' previous game. Nas Reed grabbed Jonathan Kuminga from behind in the very same fashion, and it was like, no wind up, whatever the thing is, wind up, no unnecessary contact. So I thought though that this is Draymond, that's a flagrant, right? But no, man, it was consistent. I was surprised.
Well, look, down the stretch of this game, Steph Curry kind of blew the game for the Warriors. And I never.
Yeah, that's shocking coming from you.
Saying
that's
that.
wild. Yeah.
But there were a couple of things, obviously that he did. You talked about the 4 turnovers down the stretch that the team had, but why pull that 3 up 1? You're going for the knockout blow, and you're taking it so early. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, we're stringing it back.
Why was Steph Curry taking 3 to win the game?
Well, come on. I mean, it just feels like you're pushing a little bit.
I have an answer for you. They're a poor fourth quarter team. And what teams do is say, look, Steph, you're not beating us. You're taking you away. And then it becomes like one of the reasons it's a rock fight because both teams are offensively challenged, right? You take away Steph, now it's like Podziemski handle, Draymond's trying to make passes, Kuminga. Like, it gets pretty ugly. And Steph, especially if you just play him like that, like, he's taking the shot he gets. Like that's what it is. Harder to drive. He might turn it over. But if he can get a step back off, like, he's taking that. Like, that's his shot. So after fighting all game, like, he does this all the time. He's 6'3", so he's never been the type to say game on the line. Like when S used to play in the streets, you know what I'm saying, on blacktop, game point, absolutely. You better not take a shot outside the paint. Steph is like, I'm going to holler at y'all behind this arc. So I just think they're offensively, they don't have enough playmakers. And that's just his life. You got to take the open one when you got it.
Is there anything to we need to empower Kuminga? Because I listened to the pod with you guys and Zena when you guys were talking about it. Is there anything to get the ball into Jonathan Kuminga's hands and let him cook?
Yeah, but what we saw against Houston is these dudes aren't sure with the ball against ball pressure.
Yeah.
Kuminga, you got to get him on the right matchup. And he's got Tari Eason on him. And Tari Eason is hungry with an O, right? That dude is hungry.
Warriors.
And you can see, right? Yeah. And you put Kuminga 30 feet from the basket like that. That's tough. They don't have dudes who can start 30 feet from the basket mano a mano with a really good defender, and I'm going to get to the rim. Like, those, they got Steph, and they got other guys who can do it sometimes, but sometimes they can't. Kuminga isn't to the point where he can do it reliably every time. It's matchup based, and Houston's really tough. They love getting in you in the perimeter.
You know who can do that? Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler can do that.
He can take 1-3
You know
game.
who else can do that? Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, and that's a guy that definitely that they ought to look at. Look, Marcus, again, not to pigeonhole you, let's talk Rockets, man. Look, they won the game. They're the young, hungry team.
Yeah.
They got Dylan Brooks firing them up, but they're kind of missing the guy down the stretch. Şengün, there's the weird substitution stuff with him. Jalen Green, not quite there yet, although made a great play, diving for the basketball to kind of give him a chance to win. What do you think about the Rockets?
Yeah, I do think it's a little bit like, how long do you wait for Jalen Green to become that guy? Like, that's tough. And he'll learn a lot of lessons. They'll be in a lot of games. They're a good team. He'll get to play like real top level basketball now. You get to see it. Ain't like the last couple of years, right? It's like, all right, now you're in the mix. Well, what you got, Jalen? And I do think, while you have to develop that, they're kind of in a position where they need to develop it fast. So they have so many wings, so many guys that you can move. I wouldn't be surprised if they said, let's go now, because they're good. And the West is West feels gettable to me. Like, the West feels gettable. So
you think they would be a win now trade?
Like a Jimmy Butler
I could see
team?
them saying, and look, they know Jalen Green behind the scenes better than me, right? So like, there are some things you can see where it's like, is he going to be that? Now, this talent-wise, skill-wise, give them some real time. But do they really have time to wait? How many games they were? Like, they should have lost this game. Like, they should have lost. Right. They're going. Think about this. In the crunch time, you're saying, Şengün, go get a bucket on Draymond Green.
That's insane.
That's your offense? The Warriors are taking that every time down. Yeah. Every time down. So it's like, you gotta have a better option than that. I'm surprised that you get Dylan Brooks, I kept blanking on his name, 10 shooter.
Jabari?
Yeah.
Jabari Smith.
I was like,
you said shooter, and I'm like, huh?
No,
there's a shooter?
I'm surprised. I mean, on that team, he is the shooter.
Yeah,
but I'm surprised. On that team,
he is.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he doesn't develop more of that. He's got the size. Like, he doesn't have the percentage, but he's got good touch. It feels like he'd be a simpler high post, give me the ball. Like, they don't even explore it, really. They'll just rather, like, Dylan Brooks back somebody down. It's a weird offense. It doesn't feel like anything that would be at all sustainable in any good close game against any good team.
I'm not gonna lie, the Rockets offense feels like watching paint dry, because it's just you're going through the motions of, okay, Fred VanVleet, we're gonna try to find pick and roll with him, he's gonna get downhill, and then no, we don't have anything here. Şengün post up, can he create an advantage? No. And it doesn't feel like they really have any sort of goal with what they're trying to do offensively. That's the crazy part of it.
Not to bring up shot diet for a second time on the show, but how often does a possession end in Fred VanVleet, who's not that tall, with a tall guy standing 2 feet in front of him and he's pulling up for three?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's an air ball and sometimes it goes in.
I do think this is like emblematic of how the league is, despite what that game just told us.
Sure.
The league is so spread out. You just can't have three guys on the court who can't create a shot. Like, you just can't.
Yeah, right.
You got to have multiple guys who can create against good defense. Like, that's the new, remember how it used to be like, you got to have 3 all-stars to win a championship. Now, like, pretty much you could probably get away with 1, 2 most. But the best teams will have 4 to 5 guys who say, hey, it's me and you. I have the space. I'm taking you. And Houston got guys who, like, they all believe they can, but they actually can't. Like, they're all certain they got it, but they ain't got it. Like, that's not what they are. And the Warriors are the opposite. They have guys who, like, I don't think I can do this.
No.
Steph, where are you?
Well, except for Pajemski. You know what I mean? That guy, he thinks he can do it.
Yeah, he does think he can.
He can't. I don't know. All right. Well, Marcus, thank you for coming and hanging out after the game. Well, we're going to see you in Vegas.
Wait, can we get a Rockets Thunder prediction? What do you?
That's what I was about to say.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Do you think the Rockets can ride this stolen victory that we're going to call and beat the Thunder? No, the Thunder want this thing.
No, they can't score enough. No.
Yeah, that's true.
No. The Thunder roll out of bed to 115. Like, nah,
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fun. All right. Well, guys, stick around after the break. S and I are going to issue some mea culpas a quarter of the way through the season. It is question time on the show. Question news. I mean, this is like the straggling bits.
Fun stuff.
Of the podcast every day. We put out the call the other day for questions. Oso Manchego on Blue Sky asked us a pretty good question that was timely. Any quarter season mea culpas worth discussing for us. And
we don't get a lot wrong.
Well, okay, we're not going to do that.
No, I'm kidding.
I will say we have done a pretty good job of framing things to make them seem like we're very right. We sound super smart.
Absolutely.
If you go and look at the social clips, very good job. Super producer Grayson doing his job. But you know what? At the risk of being too Warriors heavy on this show, I'm going to issue a mea culpa because the Warriors offense, I'm right about the defense. Top 5 defense. They are a top 5 defense, but I do not think this team has the offense as currently constructed to make any kind of run come playoff time. I mean, the game that we just saw last night with the Rockets, and the Rockets are a very good defense. That's more indicative of a playoff style defense.
Totally.
If you think the Mavericks can't defend at that level, if you think that
Thunder,
Oklahoma City can't defend at that level, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Do you think a trade would change that for you?
Possibly, but I just don't know who they could get. When you look around the market, obviously the Jimmy Butler stuff, because he puts the colors in his hair, it gives us this indication that he might want to go to the Warriors. I don't think that's a good fit. As much as him being able to handle the ball and play defense is great. I just think you got to have somebody who can shoot a little bit better than that and look for their own shot a little bit more. But there are guys available. I mean, Marcus brought up Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder would be a great fit there. He can play with Steph some. If you look at some of the way he's played in FIBA, just giving them another guy who's looking to get to the basket, looking to get his own shot, can do some things. I mean, I mentioned Cam Thomas for about 8 teams. If he was there,
Cam Thomas would be fun. He'd be like the Jordan Poole kind of role. Yeah.
But although I don't know if you can have him play in the same role as Dennis Schroeder. I think Schroeder is a better player because you can trust him defensively just much more. So that's my mea culpa. I don't think that this offense is going to be able to get them. I mean, maybe they win a playoff series. I don't think they win once they get to the elite competition of the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree with you. Like I'm kind of curious if the Jimmy Butler thing might change that for you. Because there is, I don't know. Who knows? This is very theoretical. Yeah. Okay. My mea culpa probably has to be for the LA Clippers. I was very, very low on this team heading into this year. I just did not believe, I did not think that I slept on Norm Powell, clearly, and the 3-point shooting and the volume shooting and everything. They're one of the best defenses in the league. They defend, they play really, really hard. The Harden, Ivica Zubac's pick and roll is awesome. And for them to be in the playoff mix, like, I don't know, 25% into the season, that's impressive. And Kawhi Leonard apparently is around the corner. Up. So, we'll see what happens.
Kawhi Leonard bobblehead night is coming up pretty soon.
Yes.
And maybe that's an indication that he's going to play.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
We got to check out Law Murray over at The Athletic. Go read him because he'll let us know when that news is coming. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. The NBA Cup has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys riding through with us. We're going to be in Vegas this weekend, so expect fun stuff coming from that. For Es Baraheni, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.